Welcome to Hump Day. I've got today and tomorrow, and there's some sort of prop course down in Sydney for the Chinese on Friday. So we'll have today and tomorrow doing this webinar. I've got a few emails to go through today, so it's okay. I have got e-signal operating today, so please let me know if that causes any dramas in terms of the speed of how quickly the picture is behind the sound. Because it does, this eSignal 11 does take up some extra computer operation. So what we're looking at, the first question here is about the dollar lira. You've mentioned that you're in a signal that it has it upside down. If you type in SD USD TRY space A0-FX, it may well look upside down. But the way, and it does, yeah. The way eSignal operates is all you need to do is type in TRY space A0-FX and you have the Turkish lira, it's the dollar lira, okay, as you can see here, or just there. So you mentioned that it looks upside down on eSignal. That's probably because you've typed in USD TRY, but just type in TRY and then eSignal will automatically understand that you mean the dollar lira and chart it accordingly. So going to your analysis, oh there you go, you got it right in this one. So I'm not sure why you'd yeah, not sure where you're going. Question: already overbought on RSI. Hidden divergence. I think it might be a little late getting in now because you're not yet overbought. You know, when you've got your RSI at 6, overbought should be at 80, and oversold should be at 20. But the concern here is the trade should have been happening in there, sort of around that area, not up here. Because coming in up here, you know, you've got a 60, what's that, 65 pip or 600 pip. Your risk reward is, where I'm going with this is your risk reward is ruined because you're coming in at it too late. Yeah. The trade should have been after seeing this bar, and if you've done your analysis, which you have, that's when you should have been entering the trade. It's a little bit late now. You've got the Fibonacci fine, yeah, 50 support. You get this horizontal support, which is $2.15. All well and good, but yeah, now this is a little late. Doesn't mean you're not out of, you can't trade this. We're not overbought yet. There's still some potential upside in this, and therefore you need to be looking at trying to get some entry on the shorter time frame. Does that make sense? But on the daily, I think it's well and done. Gone too far. So that's that one. Your next one is Euro PLN. Again, you ask if it's overbought on the RSI. Well, no. Nowhere near it. It's, you know, you're just starting phase one now, and if you're looking at extensions, extensions will be up in this area here. And so again, it's this bar here. Yesterday's bar's probably a little large to be looking at something like a a risk reward ratio. You can be lucky to get 2. That's okay. 2 is fine. But I'm not sure why you think it would be overbought on RSI. 59, you're right in the middle. Right. So a fib extension of 1.272 only gives a 1 to 2 risk reward. Now it might 40 odd pips, 44, 37, it's not even 1.2. But if you're looking at the 1.618, or maybe this, these levels here, that's a target there. It's not exactly clear to see, is it? Where there might be some resistance. I'd suggest across there is a reasonable support resistance line. This low, highs, and then your next one would be there, and then obviously there, and then up here somewhere. But if you're looking at that one in here somewhere, then your risk reward is okay. 40 for 60, so it's 1.5. But the answer to your question is no, you're not overdone. You're sitting at 58. That's fine. Plenty of room to go on the upside. To your analysis, trend line support. Okay. Really? Yeah, maybe. Yep, trend line support. It's good. Certainly horizontal support. Fibonacci, yes, that's good. You got the 618 as support. So that's all okay. EMA support, hidden divergence. Yeah, I mean you can make that argument. That's yep, you could say hidden divergence. So that's all good. Again, the extended price action. Yeah. Again, the euro had a surprisingly strong day overnight, and this is a kind of ruins a risk reward, but you're in the right area of wanting to trade. You might look at doing an ATR style, stop on it. You're doing that to me again. Did that. Yeah, won't allow me to change it. So ATR's around 20. You might look at doing something like that, 2 times ATR, which is about 40 anyway. So if you're not happy with targeting this area here and going for 1.5, well then that's the way you would approach it. But there's certainly the reason to be getting long off this is a sound. The 50's just crossed the 200 again, so it's all sound for taking the trade. It's just a matter of getting a decent size and risk reward ratio on it. Yep. Okay, you happy with that, mate? fundamentals of the last two. I know nothing about what's going on in Turkey other than what you see on the news in terms of the conflict on its borders in Syria and Iraq, and it could well escalate into their inside their borders. Um, and I have no idea what goes on in Poland either, so I really can't tell you what's happening from a fundamental point of view on either of those. US dollar is still bullish and will remain so until they raise interest rates. And the European is still kind of bearish, but I expect to see a bit of a bounce because they didn't do QE. They got sold off on the lowering of interest rates last week, but they didn't instigate quantitative easing, so I'd expect a bit of a bounce until they do that. So other than that, you can see some buyers coming back into the euro and certainly buying in the US. But the other sides of them I couldn't tell you, I'm sorry. Okay. So now looking at the Euro CAD. Alright, risk reward doesn't look so good. I set a target of 61.8, which will be around the 50 EMA. This is not divergence. This is divergence. I do apologise. There is divergence there. We've covered that. We've covered that. Yeah, okay, so there is divergence there across from this low to that low. We can see there's clear divergence. Yep. Okay. So what you're suggesting is that the risk-reward ratio is not that good in this. You're targeting the 61.8 up here, the 50 EMA, then that should be a decent risk-reward. Risk-reward is 1.67. Yep. That's rare. It's not often you get a phase 2 that would do that. I would suggest that it's probably there's potential to come back and test these levels or even these levels before falling again. As I said, the euro will get a little bit stronger as it does natural bounce cycle. There is a bit of resistance here against your trade, and there's certainly some resistance across this double bottom. And that's likely where you should be putting a target, and that may not get you a decent risk reward, but certainly you can be looking at somewhere in here initially, the 50 EMA initially. Yep. Don't know about that horizontal support line you've got there. I think there is a horizontal support resistance. You can see it across here. Yep. Highs there, lows there. Then it's not so strong. There's a bit there as well. And then the next sort of support line I would put around here somewhere, 36. In here I don't see anything that's all that strong. So bring that back to daily. Yeah. Yeah, that should be sort of in there. Okay. And we're back above that. As you noted, the extension. Right. Just on this, let me just take that off. Another potential way to bring up a target is say, well, there's the retracement. So, the 50 and the 618, that horizontal lies right in between it. So that's a potential area for looking at a target. Yep. So having a target zone in there somewhere. Yep. But I'll just be careful of this minor resistance here. So if you're wanting to trade phase 2, that's certainly an option there, and you'd get a decent risk reward. 0.13% of your risk. Good. And the 50's under the 200 now, so that's, I'd be looking at that as a potential resistance. In fact, personally, what I'm looking at here is the potential 4-hour trade, seeing that depending on what this bar forms or how this bar forms, is looking at a 4-hour trade, taking it short. If we go off there, I've got the 61.8. Even if you come off this there, and taking that short, and you're looking at so 50 pip risk, and even if you go down to this bottom, it's 150 pip target. Tried that on the Aussie Kiwi last night. I didn't get triggered in, and I think someone's got a question on the Aussie Kiwi. So Aussie Kiwi, the 4 hours looking like it might bounce off this 50 EMA, and what was resistance is now support. Didn't get us in, so it didn't quite work out. That and the daily is obviously doing its phase 2 pullback. And on that, let's go to the next question, which is Aussie Kiwi that came in on Monday. Phase 2 short trade. I thought I'd open this up. Okay. So these came in Monday. Aussie Kiwi resistance zone and the extension of the 1.618 off that. Yeah, interesting. That's fair enough. Targeting that level there, which is might meet the 50 there. Swing higher with a high test bar, phase 2 short resistance. Got extension, you've got a horizontal zone of area, yeah, bearish price action. 5 pips below the formation. Stop loss 13, 16 pips. I think you'll find it's a bit, yeah, so stop loss in pips is 75, okay. Target is 194, it's 2.6. That's good. High test bar, yeah, so certainly looking reasonable for that trade. What was it? 190 pips off there. $160. Still, it's better than 1.5. So that's better than 1 to 2, 2 times your risk, which is good. Yeah. That's good. 2 seller bars. I'm looking at the same thing. You just sent it to me twice. They seem to be the same chart. Okay. Then your Aussie Swiss. Yeah, there's resistance there. We've got the extension to bearish price action. I think this came in a hurry, that bearish price action. Well, here you got a lower low, lower high, and you've got a, is it a lower low? Jesus, only just. What's that? 87.38, and that's 87.39. So this is actually an engulfing bar. Still, it's with that resistance and your extension, you'd be inclined to take that. With obviously the 2 there, and your risk reward would still be okay, I'd think. Yeah, let's call it 100 pips for 160 pips, so 1.5. What have you said? Yeah, wait for one more, then trade on the break. Yeah. Aussie Kiwi was their divergence. You said it's fractional. It's Class C. It's if probably pushing a friendship really in terms of that. Those 3 bars there is what you're looking at, and that is marginal. 82. I think it's Class C, which is a little weaker, but it's still divergence. Okay, and finally your pound Swiss. Falling wedge pattern. What are you saying about this? This looks like a classic falling wedge continuation of uptrend. I'll be looking to go long on a convincing break of the upper trend line. I'm speculating that fundamentally cable might recover once the referendum is out of the way and people realise both countries will still use the pound as currency. They won't. The Bank of England has come out and said you can't have it both ways. You can't have your independence and rely on the Bank of England as your central bank and as the pound as your currency. They will have to, if they do get the independence, they will have to have their own currency. They may peg it to the pound. What effect that will have on the pound, I'm not exactly certain. But I have heard calls that that's what they'll do, is they'll peg it to the pound, so there's not too much of a shock to their economy in the shift across. So I don't necessarily think that they will still use it. Sorry, I'll disagree with your comment about both countries still using the pound, but it could recover once the referendum is out of the way. You know, it's buy the rumour, sell the facts. So they're getting prepared for the fall in the value of the pound because of the losing the Scottish as a country. And on that, it's called the United Kingdom. What do we call it now? Interesting. I don't know. But the UK will be no longer, and the pound could well recover. They're having sort of sold off on the concept that they are going to lose the Scottish and the even more. They'll lose. More importantly, they'll lose the North Sea oil and gas deposits. So I do expect a bit of a bounce in this. As to your upper trend line, potentially there is a trade there. I'm not going to fault you for looking for it and having a crack at that. Um, but I just prefer horizontals. Call me crazy, but that's what I like. Following wedge pattern. This across here. And it's on that now. It's this horizontal that I'd be looking at. Or potentially this, seeing what's in there. Certainly a zone there, isn't there? Yeah. I think the top one's stronger and it's underneath that. So you'd want to see it back above that before having any sort of trade on. Yeah, because this is quite a key level and it's underneath that now. Okay. That's it for today, guys. We'll be back on at the same time tomorrow. Um, again, with everything sort of reversing, this one floating around that support level. Hasn't been here for several months. Getting a little overdone, so it may not hold this, but there's still some room on the downside for it as well. We're at the end of sort of the end of phase ones on a lot of things, but it's pretty tricky to try and trade these. So good luck with them. If you need me, you know where I'm at, and I shall talk to you tomorrow morning. You guys got any? Those of you online got any questions before I hang up on you? No. Okay. Thanks, guys.